Good evening and welcome to the April 26th meeting of the Meriwether County Board of Commissioners. At this time, we'd like to ask if you have any cell phones or other electronic devices, would you please just silence them until the meeting is over? We're going to stand for the invocation to be given by Commissioner McCoy and remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Just bow with me, please. Lord, we're just so proud that we can come to you and just call you Father, Abba, Father, Lord. We're just so thankful for this. And Lord, here in our midst, we just ask you to give us the peace of mind, the clarity of thought, and all that's needed, Lord, to carry out the work that's needed here from Meriwether County. And Lord, that work would go to not only in Meriwether County, but the upbuilding of your kingdom also. And Lord, just forgive us in the many ways that we fail you. In Christ Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, before we adopt the agenda, we do have a couple of things that we need to change. If you'll look at number 2, under unfinished business, we're going to remove that. And we do have a pretty full meeting with several public hearings. We have 2 things that we're going to move just prior to the public hearing. And under new business, that would be number 1, a proclamation for Vic Dowis. And number 2, NFP insurance proposal for 22-23. They have traveled quite a distance, and we're going to go ahead and get that out of the way before we start the public hearings. Are there any other changes that need to be made? Hearing none, can I have a motion to adopt the agenda? So moved. Have a second?
Second.
All in favor? All right, thank you. Next, we have our finance report, and Mr. Bill.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Excuse me, I'll be brief. You've got the report in front of you. General fund remains strong at 5.5 million, and all the other accounts are in really good shape. Fire district, O&M, and the fire bond are looking good, as well as the various SPLOST and T-SPLOST accounts. That's really all I have, unless you've got any questions.
Anyone have any questions? Okay. All right, we'll move on. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we move on to the citizen comment time, and I believe we do have someone signed up, but let me just read over what our instructions are, the procedure we follow. Speakers must direct their remarks to the board and not to individual commissioners or to the audience. Personal disagreements with individual commissioners or county employees are not a matter of public concern, and personal attacks will not be tolerated. Speakers will be allotted 3 minutes to speak on their chosen topics as they relate to matters pertinent to the jurisdiction of the Board of Commissioners. No questions will be asked by any of the commissioners during citizen comments. Outbursts from the audience will not be tolerated. Common courtesy and civility are expected at all times during the meeting. No speaker will be permitted to speak more than 3 minutes or more than once unless the board votes to suspend this rule. And I believe we have a Mr. Area. Am I saying that right?
Yes, ma'am.
If you'll just state your name and address for the record as you come up.
Nicholas Area. I live at 1810 Trammell Bottom with Greenville address. What I'd like to discuss this evening is Forest Road, the paving of Forest Road, or in this case, the lack of it. 2 years ago, it was paved from, I believe, 100 up to Montgomery Road. The road is in fine shape. From there up to Highway 54, it is a death trap for tires. I mean, several of my friends have lost tires on it. People have been given tickets because they're swerving out of the potholes, and policemen are giving them tickets for crossing over the yellow line. All right. If anybody has driven on that section of road from Trammell Bottom up to Highway 54, there's no way you could stay in your allotted lane without tearing something up or slowing down to 10 or 15 miles an hour. All right. It is just an absolute mess. And you know, what was explained to me, why it's been taking so long, and, you know, I don't understand this, but it was a retired, county official, and they had told me from Montgomery Road up to Highway 54, all of those people have Hogansville addresses. And, you know, I looked at him like he was crazy, but I checked several people up there and they do have a Hogansville mailing address. So my question, you know, to you is, well, are their taxes being shuffled off to Troup County and Hogansville? Or they're living in Meriwether County, where are their taxes going? And I was assured they were going to Greenville and being dispersed in Meriwether County. Which leads to the question, when are we gonna do something about that road? I mean, it is just awful. And for, all you need to do is take a ride down there and you'll see. And on the second, part of it, it would probably help a little bit. From what I've seen, when the DOT puts out their little way station, they have a truck check up here. They don't do it all the time, but when they do it, sand trucks coming out of Junction City, go around the courthouse square, take 100 out, and jump on Forest Road to circumvent that. And there's clearly on each end of Forest Road, the 100, and up there at Highway 54, there's a big old sign that says no through trucks. Now, it would be real simple for the sheriff's department to coordinate with the DOT when they are gonna set up something up there. They might be able to put an officer out there and write a couple of tickets and quit that. Thank you very much.
Thank you, we appreciate it. All right, next on the agenda is the minutes. We have the minutes from the April 13th, 2022, 9 a.m. regular meeting. Have you had, I'm assuming everyone's had a chance to look over these and read them. Are there any corrections or changes that need to be made? Hearing none, can we have a motion to approve the minutes? We have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Minutes are approved. Okay, next on the agenda, we're gonna recognize Mr. Dick Dallas. I believe he's in the audience with us today. We have a proclamation we'd like to read. You can just sit there if you want to begin with, and we'll read it, and then we'll have you come up and we'll take a picture, okay? Proclamation to recognize Vic Dallas on his retirement as Recreation Director and for his outstanding service to the citizens and youth of the Manchester-Meriwether County Recreation Department. Whereas since April 1st, 1989, Vic Dallas has provided service to the citizens and children of Meriwether County through his dedication and leadership while serving as the Recreation Director of the Manchester-Meriwether County Recreation Department. And whereas Vic Dallas has helped the Manchester-Meriwether County Recreation Department grow and improve with the approval of a bond to build Percy Park, adding a senior center and 3 baseball fields, allowing recreation to grow and improve in Manchester. And whereas Vic Dallas was present when the Meriwether County Commissioners decided to sign a contract with the City of Manchester for recreation, helping provide recreation to citizens and youth throughout the county, allowing more children to participate in recreation. And whereas Vic Dallas has dedicated 33 years of service to the citizens and youth of Meriwether County, and his strong dedication and commitment instilling an energy and hunger for recreation. And whereas his dedication has motivated Meriwether County citizens and youth to become involved in the many programs the Manchester-Meriwether Recreation Department has to offer, encouraging social interaction, increasing personal confidence, and improving the quality of life of those in the county, and be it proclaimed by the Meriwether County Board of Commissioners on this 26th day of April 2022 that Vic Dallas be and is hereby recognized and commended for his outstanding service to the citizens and youth of Meriwether County, and be it proclaimed further that the Meriwether County Board of Commissioners does hereby extend its congratulations to Vic Dallas on his retirement and best wishes in all of his future endeavors.
it's been an honor and privilege to serve for 33 years doing what I do. And being retired for 3 weeks, I had a chance to look back and say, wow, you know, it was some great times, a lot of hard work. Very proud of what we were able to do, and I appreciate all y'all allow me to do it.
Would you mind coming up here and get a picture with the board? And look. Oh, yeah, we're gonna be singers.
Vic's pretty tall. Appreciate it.
His wife is back there too. Thank you, we appreciate it. All right, next, one of the other items that we moved is the NFP presentation. Who's in charge? Hey.
Good evening, my name is Tammy Starkey, I'm Senior Vice President with NFP, the Benefits Consultant for Meriwether County. I'm gonna step through a brief presentation for the renewal that's upcoming on your benefit plans effective July 1st, 2022. So first looking at, we did conduct a full marketing analysis on all lines of coverage. Looking at the medical coverage specifically, Aetna proposed a 39.9% increase from the market. Anthem Blue Cross Blue Shield is at a 13% increase. Humana at a 27.6% increase. United Healthcare, the renewal from United Healthcare, our current carrier, is a 16.1% increase. And then Cigna declined to quote, they were uncompetitive. So I reviewed all the viable options from the market. On the next page of the presentation, you'll see the actual renewal from United Healthcare. So this is our current plan design, so current co-pays, deductibles that apply to the medical plan that was implemented with United Healthcare. This is the 16% increase, which total premium is $206,816. So renewal is driven by the experience on the plan. While we have seen improved experience in the last 12 months on the health plan, we still are at a 91% loss ratio, which means when you look at premium that's paid into the plan versus claims that United Healthcare is paying out, they're using 91% of that premium to fund claims. They typically want to see that around 75–80%, and then you're accounting for medical and prescription drug trends, so rising cost of healthcare, rising cost of medications on top of your experience. But as I indicated, we are seeing an improving trend in the experience on the plan. When we look at an average of paid amounts per employee that's enrolled, we are down 17% this plan year compared to where we were last plan year. So greatly improved, seen a reduction in some of our high cost claims. So that did help as we explored options in the market. One driving factor of really exploring the market was the removal of Wellstar from the United Healthcare network. Effective February of this past year. So that impacted a lot of employees that were seeking services at Wellstar. There is no indication at this point of when or if Wellstar will come back into the United Healthcare network. So we really took network and accessibility into consideration as we looked at options from the market. So we are proposing Anthem as a replacement from United Healthcare, one because of the robust network, so that it does include Wellstar and all currently used top providers and hospitals within the health plan, and it is a savings over the United Healthcare renewal. So with a package discount for all lines of coverage, so meaning medical, dental, vision, life, and disability, and all are packaged with Anthem. It is a 13% increase, or about $168,000. That does include, again, the packaging discount for all of those ancillary lines of coverage. That is 4% discount, which is worth about $60,000 on the medical premium to package all lines. We also, with the Anthem proposal, it does also put the county back into the ACCG pool. So for underwriting purposes, your experience will be pooled with other counties that participate in this fully insured risk pool with Anthem Blue Cross Blue Shield. So they typically have at least 90 counties that participate, and we're continuing to see growth in that as Anthem is really invested in the counties and in strengthening the risk of this pool. So what that means is when we have a bad year, not all of your experience counts towards your renewal. Your risk is pooled with other counties. So that can help us when that pool of counties runs better than Meriwether specific experience. So there can be an advantage there. When we look back at the history, the last time the county was with Blue Cross Blue Shield and within that pool was the plan year 2017. So we moved out July 1st of 2018 to Cigna. On the next slide, 4, you see the ancillary coverage package. So again, this does provide a 4% discount to the medical premiums, or about $60,000 in spend on medical. And when we look at the package, the Anthem dental proposal is a 6.9% savings over your current cost. So employees will see a reduction in their cost there. The network is very strong, an excellent match, and the plan design matches. Vision, no increase, same plan design, very strong network. Basic life, no increase, so same premiums. Voluntary life, voluntary term life that the employees pay for, no increase. And Anthem is also allowing a one-time open enrollment where any employee that is not currently participating can add coverage without answering health questions. So typically you have to be participating and you can add $10,000 in coverage without answering health questions. This year, any employee can add $10,000 in coverage without health questions, or $5,000 for their spouse. So that's really advantageous to those that maybe would not qualify when they answer those health questions, that they will automatically be approved. Short-term disability and long-term disability that the employees pay for will also be no cost increase. So same benefits and no cost increase. With the packaging, that does also consolidate services with one carrier, consolidates billing and ID cards. So meaning that members will have one ID card for medical, dental, and vision services. Any questions on the option, the renewal, or the proposal from Anthem?
When we did this last year, we went to UHC, in January, they were no longer in the network with Wellstar. What are you all doing to ensure that Blue Cross will be, because we don't want to hit that wall again?
Yeah, so with United Healthcare, that came as a surprise because Wellstar had already agreed to a new contract with United Healthcare and then backed out within their 90-day period. So we've ensured that that is not the case with Anthem, that they are not in a position where they could back out at this point. And we also have seen a big push because Anthem provides the majority of the state employee coverage, that you see a lot of pressure from the state to not allow large hospital systems to pull out, just like we're seeing with Northside currently. So I think that gives a big advantage because Anthem is so local, has so much membership in Georgia, and especially with the state of Georgia, they really can't allow large hospital systems to come out and network.
That really hurt a lot of our employees. Our proximity to LaGrange, where most of us Wellstar doctors are, it was devastating to a lot of our employees.
Yes, it's very impactful to find new providers, to start over care, or to pay out of pocket for care. It is a big disruption.
I'll hold you to that.
If they start backing out, I'll go knock on Wellstar's door.
Does anybody have any questions?
Madam Chair, I do. So does the decision need to be made on this
That's what
tonight?
I was gonna ask. Do we need to make a decision tonight? Is this tonight?
But it doesn't
Mr.
take place
Gregory
until July,
has-
right?
Yeah.
He has some of the financial.
The reason I'm asking, Madam Chair, this is a lot of information, and just like Commissioner Threadgill shared earlier, when we went with United Healthcare, there was just a lot of issues that, which I know sometimes you can't even predict, but I think once again, for the purpose of our employees, we need to take and do our due diligence. So it's not, the change doesn't go until June, right? July?
But how long are these
And
prices
how-
good for? That's
Yeah,
another
that's the
thing,
thing.
though.
In July first, however, we will speak on the.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
time frame for all of that.
Right, so open enrollment will be, early June is what we have it set at. In May.
Third week of May.
Third week of May, sorry. Okay. Yep, so last week of May, so that means, decisions
Yeah.
tonight would be drive our open enrollment communication pieces, the enrollment website that we build. So our team is waiting for decisions to drive all of that so that we're on time for open enrollment. As employees make elections, we submit that to the carrier so that they have ID cards on time and there's no disruption in service.
All right, thank you.
And some of the commissioners thought they need some additional time. If we were to vote on May the 11th, does that give you enough time to set it up by that?
Still.
Did you say the third week in May or the last week in May? It's like the 23rd to the 27th.
It did it the last week in May last year, but we ran into some problems with the holiday. Like, move it back.
That runs
I'd
into
still like
Memorial
to
Day.
wait to vote on this at our first meeting in May, so that we can have more time, because we just got this tonight, so we would like to really get it.
Can we do that?
That'll push open enrollment into June, but as long as you all are agreeable to that, we could work through it.
That's problematic, that's what we. That's just change, that's when we have to start the first day of it.
In June.
I'll have to let you see.
You have to do what, Bill?
You have to make adjustments in the deductions for the employees,
Yeah.
if the board so chooses to raise those deductions.
So you'd have to do it in June in order for it to be effective in July.
Correct.
So what's the pleasure of the board?
Sounds like you want to play the decision until the next meeting, the first meeting.
That is, but the issues they bring up with it is that it would push open enrollment until June. But in June, the new rates have to go into effect for us, the deductions for the employees, in order for it to be able to take effect July 1st, which is our other policy will be out by then.
So let me ask the question.
Let me see
Why
what
does-
that, let me see
Hold
what
on
that
for a
first.
second, let me ask, why does this push it into June if we wait until May 11th to vote on this, when it doesn't go into effect until that last week of May anyway?
It's the timing of open enrollment for, especially for us to build the enrollment website and the connectivity to the carriers, it's a 4-week lead time.
So next year, I would like to suggest that you come to us 4 weeks before you move.
You know, we come as soon as we have renewals,
Right.
and typically those are released middle of April. And we have conversations with HR and finance to nail down the solutions, further negotiations, and then come to you all as soon as we're.
The reason I said next year, there will only be 2 of us left on this board next year, so we're gonna have 3 brand new ones to run.
Oh, yeah, they'll definitely be in the background, right?
All right, then you got a date?
Yeah, the first payroll in June is June the 9th, so that gives us a few more days to work.
So can we make it work or not? Okay. So we'll just, can we table this or move it to our May the 11th meeting to make the final decision?
Is there any further information that you all can think of now that you would like for us to follow up with?
You could reduce this.
Trust me, that's what we've been fighting for while we're not here 4 weeks early.
I know, I
Yeah,
understand.
go back and tell Blue Cross or Anthem that we're not, sure as of yet.
Maybe
Bring us
maybe
back
a
up
little bit
over
more.
proposal.
I will, see what we can get from them on, the Wellstar contract and just details there. A lot of carriers are kind of hesitant to release that because of the competition, but I'll see what, you know, we can get from them in writing.
Do we have a motion to move this, to our May the 11th meeting? Have a second?
Second.
All in favor? All right, thank you.
Thank you.
next, we have, 3 public hearings. We'll be going in, to a public hearing 3 different times and back out. So, first of all, can I have a motion to go into public hearing for case number 2022-00?
So moved.
May I have a second? Second. All in favor? We're in public hearing, 6:26 for the first case. We-
Good evening. Here tonight on zoning case number 2022, 001. And before we start, we'll point out a couple of our staff. We have Jamie Pike here with us tonight. I don't think we'll have that opportunity to meet Jamie, but she helped us out in Memphis zoning. Done a great job for us. Friendly is still there. We also have Jamie Campbell, our code enforcement here tonight as well. Carpet Diamond, this Diamond is here tonight, at 26353 Roosevelt Highway, Lucasville, has requested some modifications to conditions that placed on the property when it was rezoned on June 27, 2017 to LDR with a special use to allow popping breeding dogs. The subject property is an 8.29 acre tract located in Lead Lot 98 of the 10th Lead District. And some property is in the first commission district. I think that will change after the district's going into place. At the June 27, 2017 public hearing, this time came before the board and asked you guys to approve up to 10 adult dogs at her facility, which exceeded the recommendation at that time from the planning and zoning director, who recommended 6. After the board considered the request, the board did approve the rezoning of the property RD to LDR with a special use of breeding, with the condition of allowing up to 10 adult dogs, which is what is now being requested, and you guys limited it to 2 litters of puppies per year. Steinman has now requested a change to the zoning conditions to allow the following. She would like to establish a definition of an adult dog as 12 months old or older. She would like to allow up to 25 adult dogs on the property at a time. And she would like to remove any restrictions on the number of litters per year. We sent this out for comments back from our departments. Animal Control expressed concern about the number of dogs that are here tonight. Sheriff sitting outside this area of responsibility. Our code enforcement said that the number of animals seemed high, as did that report. In a review of the request, we also looked at the standards for the exercise of zoning power, and in your packet are all of those questions and answers, and I'll go over those very quickly. Consider the land use. Subject property is suitable for the requested use if conditions are in place to limit the size and activities of the site. And we do not think property values diminish because this is actually a residential property with a special use. Primary use of property is for residential use. Surrounding properties are primarily residential, and I think limited number of animals would be very important. Allowing 25 adult dogs and unlimited litters of puppies that can remain on the property until 12 months of age would have an adverse impact, not opinion over here about properties. And as far as zoning, we perform the policies by land use plan and allow the business without limits or conditions as to size of its operation would not be required to land use plan. And after review consideration of the facts of the matter, the community development department has concerns that the requested change conditions would have a negative impact on the surrounding properties would not be consistent with the land use plan. Based on these findings, the recommendation from the community development department would be denied. Now, if the board should choose to approve the request, we would recommend the following. We recommend that you maintain that limit at no more than 10 adult dogs. We'd recommend no more than 3 litters of puppies a year. We would recommend allowing the puppies to remain on the site and be recognized as puppies for 6 months of age. Put some numbers to that to show you guys what we're looking at. This town breeds large breed dogs. They usually have quite sizable litter. So let's just say we use 7 as a litter average. That's $175. This property, while it's 8 acres, is only 200 feet wide. It's a long, narrow piece of property. Our feeling is at some point, when commercial grows to a point where it's beyond the special use that's allowed within your various districts, then it needs to be relocated to a commercial establishment where you don't have neighbors to deal with, your like, type uses, and so that's our concern with that. We did present this request to the planning commission on March 28th, and after review, they voted unanimously to recommend that current conditions be changed to allow 20 adult dogs and 4 litters of puppies per year. And although their recommendation was to modify the current condition, we still stand by our original recommendation of denial. We don't think that this property is well suited for considering the dimensions of it for as much as $175. And I'll be happy to answer any questions that you guys have. Ms. Diamond is here tonight. I know she wants to speak.
Okay, somebody have any questions? Anyone on the board?
Yeah, I would probably have questions after listening to Ms. Diamond.
Good evening, everyone. I'd like to review, I'm not gonna go through all of this, trust me. A lot of this is to corroborate what I will be going over.
Let me just pass them.
Yes, ma'am. Front of that one. This is the front of that one. I first want to thank you for your time and listening to me. I'll just jump right in. The first section on here is for licenses. I've been licensed with the Georgia Department of Agriculture since 2011. These are all of my licenses since then. I currently have a pet dealer license, which allows me to breed, and a kennel license, which allows me to board and train, and both of those have been renewed through 2023. The next section is my kennels. This is a picture, the first one, of my Atlanta kennel setup before I moved to Meriwether County. It was a 1.3 acre property in a subdivision. These are just a collage of pictures of what that setup looked like. The next page gets into what my setup is here. I moved to Meriwether County, even though I purchased the property January 2016. I did not move here until March of 2019. It's a smaller property. These are pictures of the inside, page 2 and 3. I have 2 rooms dedicated to my dogs. Page 4 is an exterior kennel run. Page 5 is kind of zoomed out of the backyard. The area around the house is about 1.5 acres, which is very similar to where I was before. Even though these are German Shepherds, believe it or not, there is more than enough room for them to get proper exercise every day. Page 6 is the front yard shot. Page 7, behind the house, is about a 3-acre field that's mostly cleared for additional exercise. Page 8 and 9, I do activities with my Shepherds. For the past 10 years, I've participated in a sport called Schutzen. So page 8 and 9 are pictures of that competitive sport. I traveled all around the East Coast participating in those competitions. And the last 2 pages are past puppies. This is just a smidgen of the feedback I've gotten from people that have purchased puppies from me over the past 10 years of my breeding career. The next section are my inspections. I tried to get as many of my Atlanta inspections from the state as I could. Unfortunately, they only go back so far, so I just put in here what I could. This is a 2015 kennel inspection. For a year when I was in Atlanta, I did board rescue, so I had to have a kennel license. I highlighted here their comments. You'll see this a lot from the state. All areas are clean and in a good state of repair and humane care is observed. Page 2 is my pet dealer license from 2016. If you see, I have highlighted on the right side, breeding animals 10. All areas are clean and in a good state of repair. Records are accurate. Humane care is observed. That's pretty much it. Page 3, I did get inspected by AKC one time, November 30th, 2016. If you look at the bottom, the highlighted comments, breed is GSD, German Shepherd dog, 16 adults, and 1 puppy on site on this 1.3 acre parcel. And the comments are, all have more than adequate area for cover, protection, and exercise and appear healthy and in good way at time of inspection, review the records, customer is in compliance. That's all he said. If you go a few more pages in, page 6, this is my last inspection before moving to Meriwether County. It's dated September 6, 2018. I didn't move again until March of 2019. You see I have circled at this inspection from the state inspector, I had 16 adults. Our only comments, I met with property owner Carmen Diamond for a routine inspection. The dogs were kept in large outdoor kennels, concrete flooring, some on dirt. Kennels were clean. Dogs had fresh water available to them. They were covered for shade and protection from the rain. All dogs appear healthy and well taken care of. Lighting, ventilation, and temperature are adequate. That's pretty much it. It wasn't a big to-do about it. I highlighted also on here all the areas that we are graded on when we have a state inspection. Current license displayed, housekeeping, lighting, adequate temperature control, adequate ventilation. Do you have your fire extinguisher? All these categories we have to be graded on when we're inspected at least 1 or 2 times per year. If we don't meet it, we are issued a violation, which is not a stop order, it's a violation. The state tries to work with you, then they give you however many days to fix it. They come back to see if you fix it. They try to just help you stay, keep yourself together. They don't really normally come in guns blazing to try to shut you down. After this, my license did expire January 31st, 2019. And like I said, I moved to Luthersville March 2019. I didn't start having litters in 2019 until later on in the year. September 23rd, this same inspector went to this address to do my inspection, and she saw I wasn't there. So she asked, where are you? I said, I'm in Meriwether County, and the next day, Robin Flory called me, who's the inspector from Meriwether County, and we set up my October 1st pre-license inspection. After that, everything went downhill. I had no problem admitting my error. I did not transfer my state license like I was supposed to. I didn't have my business license, and yes, I had 20 dogs instead of 10. I'll admit it, that's fine. I did a lot to try to correct the issue. As you see here, Ms. Flory failed me for not having a license. I was thinking, we'll do the inspection and I'll get it, but that's not what happened. Even though she did not send me this report until a month later when I hired an attorney, she did issue a stop order this day. What I do remember her saying is she couldn't issue my pre-license until I got in compliance with the county, meaning down to what they thought was 5 dogs, and it actually was 10, but they were thinking 5. So I got 2 citations, one for no business license and one for violating my special permit. And Ms. Flory set up a re-inspection for November 5th to come back to see if I got down to 5 dogs. So page 10 and 11 are the citations. Page 12, 13, and 14, and 15 are the letters from Kathy Johnson, the zoning director at that time, and Sean Downs, the animal control director at that time, to the board to let them know what happened. So after that, I did hire an attorney about 11 days after that inspection, a zoning attorney, Melissa Griffith, and she said, look, this is the plan. Get down to 10 dogs. Your current permit is still in effect unless the magistrate court judge says otherwise. And then we'll get your state license on track, and we'll get your business license on track, and look to expand your permit. That was the plan. She did advise me to renew my license. I knew that wasn't gonna work until Robin transferred it. I did try to apply for a business license, which was denied until I got my state license together. But I did immediately start getting rid of dogs, immediately. So after that, we were getting close to my court date, and I did get down to 10 dogs, and we ended up we asked if the county was willing to work with us, which they were not, and so we got the email, unfortunately, right before my court date that was not gonna happen for the reasons that followed. They said I wasn't eligible for a state license. I think that's what Robin told them, which I don't know why she said that. Also, they were under the impression I had 2 stop orders, which was not the case. It was 1. They assumed I didn't try to renew my license until 2 years after I relocated to Meriwether County. That was not correct. I I had 2 litters in a single month. That is not abnormal. And basically, since I did all this, they were not willing to work with me. So we got a continuance and entered into an agreement with the county. I had to meet a lot of, you know, I don't know if you want me to, you know, I don't mind admitting my error here, but at the end of the day, that's what it was. It was a paperwork issue and I had too many dogs. What I'd like to do is skip to how much it cost me, the financial section. The stop order is very detrimental. Basically, you can't do any breeding or selling while it's in place, and I was shut down for 3 months, basically. During that time, all my puppies I had to give away for free. The way I was able to get in compliance so quickly in 30 days is I gave away all my breeding females. You know, to get young breeding females for free with papers, they went pretty quickly. To get purebred German Shepherd puppies with papers, they went pretty quickly for free. So these are all the puppies I gave away. At the bottom are all the breeding females I gave away. I had to miss 3 breedings during that time. So for that 3-month time period, I lost about $25,000. The next page is the effect of the limits of the stop permit. 2 breedings I missed because of the stop order. If I did not have to forego those breedings, it would have been my 2 litters for 2020, and these breedings I could not do. Also, the board, I had to lose out $1,100 in boarding fees for the 4th of July holiday because that would have put me over $10. So just as an example, just in 2020, I lost $25,000 because of the limitations of the stop of the permit that I have right now. Page 3 is the financial impact of losing my breeding females. I breed them from about 2 years of age to 6 or 7 or so. We'll just say that 6 for simplicity. You say an average 6 puppies, yes, they can be that small. The first female, as an example, in 2019, she was 1.5 years. I hadn't even started breeding her. And my puppy price at that time was $1,000, so for 6 puppies, that's $6,000. I was intending to increase the price to $1,500 in 2021, which I did. That's $9,000. So if you figure for her breeding career from age 2 to 6, this first dog could have generated about $50,000 in income from my account. All these dogs listed here are the ones I had to give away for free. So over that 4-year period, I lost potential income of about $186,000. What Marietta County has done with these restrictions is said, we're gonna put a cap on this number. No matter what you are able to make or generate, we are only going to allow you 2 litters, or now the planning commission is suggesting 4 litters per year. And based on what I went through in 2019, if you go over that, there will be consequences. You get citations, a court date, legal fees, and possibly your permit revoked, which really would be the end of your business. So my production has been capped, and if I go over it, there are consequences. And I would really like to ask this, you know, if I was a real estate agent, would the county be telling me how many closings I could have per year? If I was a restaurant owner, is the county gonna tell me how many customers I can serve per day? The Family Dollar and Dollar Tree that just got built in Lucasville, before they moved here, were they ever told that they had a maximum number of products they could sell per day? That's pretty much the situation I'm in right now. My production has been determined, and there are consequences if I go over. I'll come back to litter restrictions in a minute. Page 4 are paperwork fees. That's what I got in trouble for. I didn't have a business license, I didn't transfer my state license, so these are paperwork fees. About $4,600 just for license renewal fees, insurance, state taxes, rabies, Secretary of State fees, just paperwork to stay in compliance. Page 5 sums it all up. What I lost because of the stop order, about $25,000. The limitations of the permit, about $25,000. $4,600 in paperwork fees. I spent $11,000 in legal fees. That's about $66,000 right there, plus the income I lost from giving away my breeding females. And the only way to replace that is to buy more or raise them to 2 years of age. So even if I wrote a check for the fines, if I did go to court, it would not amount to this. Basically, I'm completely in a start over position. Well, I wasn't dog fighting, I wasn't abusing, I just had too many, and I didn't know how to do it. Last year in 2021, I did have 2 litters from 2 older females that I have. One female had 1 puppy. The other female had 4. I kept 2 females. I had 3 puppy sales last year. I got $1,500 per puppy. I had $4,500 in puppy sales last year. I tried to make additional income. I rehomed a couple of other dogs. I did some board and train. So I generated about $11,600 in income from my kennel last year. My most expensive costs are food and vet bills, which for 2021 was $6,500 a piece. So that already takes me negative for 2021, and those are not all my expenses. That is a real example of the effect of the litter restrictions. I can't make that up by having more, because I already have 2. The next section is my neighbors, but I first, by contrast, included a tax map of where I used to live in Atlanta. Of course, Atlanta is a high-density area. Old Fairburn Close is the road I lived on. In the middle of the page should be a black dot identifying my parcel. As I said, I was on 1.3 acres, high-density area. For 8 years, I had no complaints for noise or smell, and I had between 10 and 20-something dogs. Next page, page 2, is a survey of my property. The areas that's highlighted is an acre and a half around the house where we spend most of the time. This again is similar acreage to where I lived before. The next section is a 3.5 acre field I have a picture of. And then the back area is the 4 acres. We aren't even tapped into the rest of this acreage right now. Page 3 is a tax map of where I live. I thought this was very interesting. The 8.4 acre subject property, that should be 8.29, that's my property. If it has a black dot next to the acreage, that means it has a house on it to live in. There are only 10 properties with dots on this map. The 60.4 acres, most of these, on page 4, if it's highlighted, the address is highlighted, that means the tax bill is going to a different address besides this property. So they probably don't live here. 2 of these parcels with black dots are in that situation. The 60.4 acres, they live in Marietta. And the 485.69 acres, they have a 1,300 square foot house on it. It is titled in the name of the movie ranch. So I believe they shoot movies over there. They may have someone living in it to manage the property. I don't know. The 8.49 and 8.60 acres next to me are owned by Mr. Muhammad. I've talked to him several times. Even though he lives in Noonan, his brother lives on the 8.49 tract with their family. They have goats and chickens back there. The 8.6 parcel is the previously abandoned trailer park. He did knock down a lot of those trailers and cleaned it up. You can't even see them from the street. He has a few at the back of the property that he rents, but you can't see them from the street. The 3.7 acres next to that is a senior couple that has lived there since 1976. And behind them, their daughter lives on it with her husband since 1995. The 8.8 acres next to that, they have lived there since 1984. The 2.09 acre tract that someone lives on, they've been there since 2018. The 7.97 acre tract that someone lives on, they've been there since 2007. And the 29.14 acre tract that someone lives on, they've been there since 1993. The rest of these parcels are just vacant land. The 1,600 across from me is owned by a foundation that's based out of Idaho. I think they do timber stuff over there. The bottom, the 382 acres and 157 acres is owned by Fuqua Development in Atlanta. And like I said, the rest of it is just vacant land. I did do an open records quest to see how these properties are zoned. They're zoned RD, which is rural development. On page 5 and 6 is a response to my request. The definition is to provide a medium-density residential area with no public sewage and to preserve the rural character of Marietta County. I'm low-density residential, but the rest of the parcels are zone RD. I mean, I'm not a zoning person. I don't know what type of commercial development can come there with no public water and no public sewage. Number 5, I think would probably be hit with commercial development sooner because it does have public water and sewage, but I mean, that's just a guess, I don't know. I mean, even if it was a subdivision next to me, maybe 2 to 5 acre lots, estate lots, I mean, I can't imagine each parcel would have its own well. So I'm not saying development won't come, but I'm not sure what type of development, in the future without public utilities would go here. I don't know. So in terms of impact, I've been here 3 years now, full-time. I still have not had any noise or smell complaints. It doesn't look like I've had a negative impact thus far. Going into the future, unless all this is rezoned and public utilities, I'm assuming, it doesn't look like it's zoned to be a high-density area, is what it appears to me. The next section is Meriwether County dealers. We touched on this a little bit in the February 9th meeting. I did want to see how I stack up next to others in the industry in terms of the number of dogs they have. You'll see on the dates here, we on average get inspected about once a year. The first dealer had 1 acre. In 2017, he had 23 dogs. 2018, 19 dogs. 2019 is when Robin Flory took over this county, and so she did issue multiple violations for him, which is why she came to see him so many times in 2019. But March 2019, he had 14 dogs. March 11th, he had 14 with 2 females bred. March 21st, 14 dogs. June 17th, 10 dogs with 4 litters. August 2019, 15 dogs. August 14th, 12 dogs, and he surrendered his license October 29th and he down to 3 dogs because he had health problems, is what it says. The next individual did have a noise complaint. She had 3.5 acres, 10 and 12 dogs. We talked about the Pomeranian breeder. Even though she does have a neighboring 100 acres, her kennel is not spread out over 100 acres. The address comes back 3.28 acres. She had 46 dogs with several litters in 2017. 2018, she had 46 dogs. 2019, 60 dogs with 11 litters. 2020, 50 dogs with 7 litters. And 2021, 55 dogs with 4 litters and 2 pregnant females. Then we have my parcel, 8.4, it should be 8.29. I had 20 dogs, 6, 10, 10, and I have 9 today. And then the rest of them listed there. The next page in that section, in Meriwether County today, we only have 5 people registered with the Georgia Department of Agriculture as pet dealers. I can't believe we're the only 5 that are breeding in this county. But we're the only 5 that are listed with Georgia Department of Agriculture as pet dealers. I did look at neighboring counties, Truth, Spalding, and Hurd. That's where it says other dealers in that section. The first one, 1 acre, 19 dogs, 12 dogs, 10 dogs. The one on Glover Road in Hogansville, 9.5 acres. I personally know this breeder. She's a Show-Line German Shepherd international breeder. 9.5 acres, 19 dogs, 14 dogs. If you skip down to Spalding County, Tidewater Kennel, 3 acres, 31 dogs, 15 dogs. Serious Bullies, 3.7 acres, 23 dogs, 8 dogs. You definitely have people that have big tracts with just a few dogs, but you also have some people with small tracts with a lot of dogs. Let's go to the state, where it says industry data. I assume that there was a misconception that commercial breeders are only licensed with USDA. I did go to the USDA website and pull this up as of 4/18/2022. Believe it or not, the Pomeranian breeder here in Meriwether County is the only dog breeder with USDA license in the entire state of Georgia right now. These are the other breeders in Georgia, but they're not breeding dogs. They're breeding monkeys, kangaroos, lemurs. I looked at their inspection report, zebras, sugar gliders. She is the only dog breeder in the entire state of Georgia that is licensed with USDA today. As I said before, most of us are licensed with the Georgia Department of Agriculture. I did, in 2019, go to the Georgia Department of Agriculture website and download a spreadsheet. They don't have it in this format today, of all the pet dealers in the state, and at that time it was 882. If you look at the next page, who needs to be licensed with the state? It could be breeding dogs, cats, fish, reptiles, or any other animal, and if you do 2 or more litters a year, you gotta be licensed with them. I scrubbed that list of 880-something dealers to dog breeders, and they also had the number of dogs they had based on their last inspection. If you look at page 3, this is a smidgen of that spreadsheet. When I scrubbed that list, I sorted it from smallest parcel to largest up to 10 acres. There's no point going over 10 acres. I highlighted the ones that were interesting to me. 0.14 acres, 15 dogs. 0.28 acres, 42 dogs. 0.29 acres, 17 dogs. How about it's a poodle party, 0.65 acres, 16 dogs. How about Maria's Family Shih Tzus, 0.86 acres, 34 dogs. If it has a Y next to it, that means they still have a state license today. How about Crystal's Kennel, 0.92 acres, 37 dogs. This first page is just 1 acre. Harmony Hounds, 1 acre, 85 dogs. Pooh's Kennels, 1 acre, 59 dogs. I'm on this list, but not till the 3rd page. So the 2nd page is more. How about Boxers, etc. Or Chansey Kennel, they had 200 dogs on 1 acre. Boxers, etc., 37 dogs on 1 acre. Tavia Yorkies, 60 dogs on 1 acre. J&D Kennels, they were USDA licensed. Their license just expired in March. They had 473 dogs on 1 acre. I'm on the 3rd page, Bondare Diamondberg Kennels. I highlighted it for you. That's my previous address, 1.34 acres, 16 dogs. This is what's happening in the state. I looked at the county, Meriwether, I looked at neighboring counties, and I looked at the state. This is what's happening in the industry. I wanted to look at a specific case of Robin Flores, page 9. This breeder, Jerry Cobb, 2.9 acres. Let's look at a couple of her inspection reports. Page 11, May 19th, 2020, she had 56 dogs. This is the same inspector that shut me down for 20 on 8.29 acres. In addition to not transferring my state license. On page 12, Ms. Cobb is down to 56 dogs. There are no puppies at the facility today and no pregnant dogs. Owner states she is not breeding dogs nearly as often as she used to and is trying to get down to 50. I also checked records today and owner provided me an outgoing form for all of the 42 dogs she just got rid of. So today she had 56, she just got rid of 42. She had over 90 dogs on this 2.9 acre tract. Page 13, August 31st, 2020, she had 47 dogs. Robin's comments on page 14, there are currently 47 adult dogs and 2 small litter of puppies. But Ms. Cobb's kennel meets all the requirements. All dogs observed today are well groomed and appear healthy. All kennels are clean and clean water is observed. She continues to decrease her numbers and is down to 47, down from nearly 60 from the last inspection. On January 14th, 2021, she had 44 dogs. In Robin's comments on page 16, the owner had 12 puppies and 44 adult dogs, which is down from 56. She still doesn't want to have more than 50. I discussed with owner today the possibility of having her priority moved from high to medium in our system, and she's going to make that recommendation to the state when main care is observed. Page 17, 6/23/2021, she had 42 dogs. And Robin's comments on page 18, there are 8 litters today. The kennels are clean and clean water is provided. The dogs appear healthy and well groomed. Current total today is 42 dogs. Owner has consistently decreased her numbers over the past years from 80, 56, 40, 42 in a year. And she's gonna recommend changing her status. Owner has received no violations of the past several inspections. No stop orders were issued for this individual. I'm recommending that this breeder be reprioritized for setting a medium. Her kennel will continue to be inspected bi-yearly, but no longer meets a high priority setting. And her latest inspection, January 18th, 2022, she had 39 dogs. On page 20, there are currently 39 adult dogs and 8 litters. Owner states she plans to continue to decrease her numbers to approximately 20 dogs. Humane care is observed. This is not even a 3-acre tract. I understand the county's concern about noise and smell. My request, I'm requesting 25 adult dogs. The planning commission is recommending 20. What I will say, because one thing that the other attorney from the county suggested is we look at this on a case-by-case basis. And I have an 11-year track record at this point. In a high-density setting and a low-density setting. I can see if I had all kind of complaints with the state, and counties and all that, but, even with barking German shepherds, I have never had a complaint for noise and smell. So that's what I'm requesting on that. The reason why, I can live with the 6-month age. It is not true that just because they're German shepherds, they have 10 and 12 puppies, that is not true. That's not true. Some of the German bloodlines have small litters. My females are compact, they're maybe 50 pounds, they're not 100-pound dogs, those are the American bloodlines. Certainly, it's true, it's a difference. But the German bloodlines, they can tend to have smaller litters. If she's a 50, 55 compact female, she's not gonna have no 10, 12 puppies. 5, 6 is probably about it, and she may have to have a C-section. So, Great Danes, yeah, that's pretty consistent. But German Shepherds, you have different bloodlines that it's pop. I don't always have 10, 12 puppies. I was very disappointed when I had one, and she had to have a C-section. So it can happen. When I'm saying I don't want the litter restrictions in my permit, I explained and showed real life numbers as to how detrimental it is financially. But beyond that, if we just look at the ordinance, the last section is the Meriwether County ordinance. It's very interesting, there are no litter restrictions in the ordinance for the county. What does that mean? That means anyone breeding right now does not have to adhere to any type of litter restrictions. There's nothing about litter restrictions in the ordinance. So I'm trying to understand why I have to be restricted. If I didn't have a permit and just went on the ordinance, there are no litter restrictions. It's none. If we look on page 6 in the last section, it has a number of cats and dogs. If you have less than 5 acres, you can only have 3 dogs, up to. If you have more than 5 acres, you can only have up to 5 dogs. If you want more, you gotta apply for a waiver. That's what I'm doing. I want more because I'm a breeder. But in terms of an exception for litter restrictions, there's nothing to request an exception for because they don't exist. So I don't know why it's in here in the first place. I think it was a huge error on my part to not explain that in 2017. I never should have agreed to that. I just didn't know then what I know now. I really hope the board doesn't force me to adhere to these litter restrictions because I really would be held to a standard that no one else is being held to right now. It would just really be unfair. In addition to how financially detrimental it is, there are no litter restrictions. So I don't know why it's there. What I'm hoping is what I hope stays in my permit is the number of dogs I'm approved for, and I would like the definition of an adult included. The reason why, if I'm approved for 20 dogs and I have, let's say, 17 adults and I have a litter of 6 puppies, I'm over 20 dogs. But if they're not classified as adult until 6 months of age, that gives me some time to move them before I'll be out of compliance all the time, possibly. So the state does have a definition for adult dogs, it's 12 months of age or older. I'm fine with 6 months, but I do need to be able to have more dogs, not just for breeding purposes, but I do boarding trains. That's what helped me generate more money last year since I only had 5 puppies. I do board dogs sometimes, but like I said, my track record speaks for itself. I could see if I was getting all kind of noise complaints and smell complaints, but there's not that many people over there, and I haven't had any complaints in 11 years. So I'm hoping that you move the complaints.
All right, we will move to see if any of the commissioners have any questions. I do have one comment and question I'd like to ask. We go back to the beginning of your presentation, and you were talking about the amount of money you lost there. But I think we need to clarify, that was through no fault of the county.
I'm not saying that. I'm
No,
saying
because,
that,
I mean, you said yourself, you did not follow the rules, you didn't follow up with your paperwork, so while that's a loss is a loss, I understand that, but that was by decisions you made that those came to fruition.
I'm saying that's the effect of the stop order. I do
But the
think.
stop order was because of the choices you made.
Right, but what I'm saying is, I still believe that the response was, that's why I reviewed her specific case at the end. That lady had a lot of dogs too. Now, I know her license was in place, that's fine. But I'm saying the response to that felt like a 20-year sentence for a traffic ticket. I just think it was over. I'm not blaming the county for that. I take responsibility for having 20 instead of 10. I take responsibility for that. But I'm just saying that, and I didn't go through the details of 2019 for the sake of time, but, you know, I still think 3 months was too long to be shut down. What Ms. Flores said is when you get in compliance with the county on the dogs, I will issue your license. I did that way sooner than 3 months, and she decided not to issue the license.
Let me
She
ask-
works for the state, she doesn't work for us.
Right.
Right, but I'm not blaming the county for that, but I'm saying I've lost pretty much everything for something I think that was really kind of minor.
Well, let me ask you a question, Sam.
Sure.
You said, when did you move here with the county? Start.
March 2019.
And when were you fined?
Me fine. Oh, my inspection was October 1st, that's when I got the citation.
So within, what, 6 months? You went from what we had given you about $10 on the property, $10 to $200, okay? And at that point, you had $20. So you also stated in your opening that this stop order affected your income for the simple fact that you could not now board dogs. I do not believe your special use permit allowed boarding of dogs.
No.
So, but hold on, you said that, you made that statement that you could no longer board those dogs. And because of the stop order,
I could no longer breed.
but you said board.
I said I have a kennel license that allows me to,
But you said you lost additional money because you were not allowed
it was
to board
$1,100
dogs.
and that would have put me over
Right.
$10.
I'm pretty sure I heard him say you could not board at that point because of the stop order. So at this point, we had allowed you $10. You violated that by an additional $10. Then you stated that you were not able to take additional income because at that point with the stop order, you can no longer board dogs. So what makes me think today that any compliance would be any different than it was within that 6
I
months?
think you have it wrong. I said
No, I don't have it wrong.
the limitations of the permit prevented me from taking those dogs to board. Now, the stop order and the permit are two different things.
Yeah.
So I did turn those dogs away because it would have put me over $10, that's correct. So, but that was just a fraction of the money I lost.
Well, let's
Most of
take
my-
the boarding, let's take my boarding statement out of it.
Mhm,
And let's go back to the reality of you had 20 dogs on the premises when you should have had it.
mhm.
Why?
I don't remember how many I moved here with, but I do, in my contract, to avoid dogs going to pounds, I do have in my contract that that they can return the dog if for some reason they are unable to keep the dog, or I'll help them rehome the dog. So I did have a few returns that put me over the limit. Not the whole 10, I don't remember how many I moved here with. But, I also want to say in 2017, Mr. Garrett said that I was only allowed to have 3 dogs anyway, without a permit, which was not correct. And at the time, I didn't know this process that I'm going through right now. So the planning commission came up with their decision or recommendation. I was not even a part of that conversation. I was surprised that they even came up with 6. But that 6 was based on them thinking I could only have 3 without a permit in the first place. So I had to, in that meeting, say it really was 5. So if it's 5 without a permit, their recommendation was just 1 more than what I could have without a permit at all. They didn't change their recommendation. So it really felt like pulling teeth to get 10. I think there was a lot of concern at that time with it being German Shepherds, there would be a lot of noise over there. And unfortunately, if I knew then what I knew now, I would have had a lawyer from the beginning, because I just assumed, based on my experience in Atlanta and what I knew was going on in the industry, I would have no issues on 8 acres, which is why I represented myself. That's where I messed up. But, you know, I should not have, 10 dogs. If I knew then what I knew now, I would have gone through this process before buying the property. That way, if it didn't work out and I didn't get what I need, I would have no skin in the game and I could just move on to another property. It was a horrible miscalculation on my part to have assumed, based on my previous experience and knowing what's going on in the industry, I would have no issues on 8 acres. I haven't had any issues on 8 acres. But there seems to be concern about the number of dogs, and it was really, profound in the meeting in 2017 because of the shepherd, because of the breed, and it would be a noise issue, that it really felt like pulling teeth to get approval for 10. If I didn't get a permit at all, honestly, the property would be worthless. So I'm just being honest with you now, that, I just got approval for something.
Let's move on, let some of the other commissioners ask questions or comments or whatever.
Madam Chair, in looking at the ordinance that Ms. Diamond has provided for us, I want to get a little clarity. Says it's chapter 32, animal control and regulation. Does this ordinance, and I guess Mr. Gay could respond to this ordinance address anyone having dogs and animals on their property? But what I'm understanding Ms. Diamond is talking about, this, she's talking about as a breeder, as a commercial breeder. So does this ordinance address a business component, or this just strictly residential? And do we have an ordinance that address breeders and people who are doing this as a business? There is a difference if you're breeding and you're doing it as a business versus someone who has their residential home and they're having. So I want to get clarity on this, because in his ordinance, as she states, it does not tell you about the amount of litters or anything, because I would assume it's for residential versus commercial. So do we have anything in our ordinance that address specifically commercial raising animals?
Yes, sir. The ordinance here, Madam Control, you can answer this too, but the ordinance you're talking about, Unified Animal Control, is for ownership in general. Okay. If you go over to the zoning ordinance, if you take a look at that, there are all kinds of things. Here we go, is a animal care facility, okay? It's allowed in A1 zoning, it's allowed in RR. Reason everybody else around this diamond is zone RD and she's zone LDR is because in RD, you can't have an animal control, an animal care facility. So you guys not only gave her the limits of additional dogs, you also rezoned her property. So all these other properties around her that she's looking at and compared to, they cannot have an animal care facility unless they come back and have it work. Now, it is allowable use in neighborhood commercial, allowable use in industrial areas. And I think that is the huge difference here. If this was an industrial area, I don't think we'd have an issue with how many dogs or how many litters, as long as it passed the health code. We're talking about putting it out into a rural development area on a tract of land that is 200 feet wide. An acre is 210 by 210. So this is a narrow tract of land. And so you can't get, that much distance from your neighbors. You're gonna be close to them anyway. And so, to answer your question, Commissioner Hines, the animal control ordinance is for control of animals, dealing with dangerous dogs, impoundment, the issue of allowing the breeders is all within your zoning districts and allowed in certain districts and not allowed in other districts.
So the LDR is allowed in the commercial part of it.
Not necessarily commercial, it allows for a animal care facility. And when you guys did it in 2017, I think it was classified as a hobby breeder.
Right.
And y'all put restrictions on there, the restrictions that Ms. Diamond agreed to at that time. And there's a lot of other things, if I could answer your question, whoever, that I'd like to cover, just to, very quickly wrap it up, because I know we're supposed to be limited to like 15 minutes.
Yes, we are, and I failed to
Way
do
beyond
that,
that, but,
sorry.
but, I can go ahead and go down.
No, that's fine. Yeah, that answers my question.
If the commissioners have any particular questions that you might can answer, because that was my failure to limit, it is supposed to be 15 minutes each side, and you have somebody to speak for, against, or whatever. So any of the commissioners have any questions for Mr. Gay? Is there anyone else in the audience who's signed up or will sign up to speak on this issue?
I'll make one quick comment. I understand what you're saying about commercial, but breeders are not gonna sign up for a second set of bills to get a commercial building. To prove my point, the Pomeranian breeder that I read off with all the dogs, why is she not in a commercial location? She's got a lot of acreage, but breeders are not gonna take an additional rent expense, insurance, build out costs. Our income is not that consistent to take on another set of bills. We normally do it at home. And also, when you have litters, if you have a commercial location, you gotta be driving back and forth to check on them. That's why we won't do that. It's not realistic. And she is a USDA licensed breeder, and she's doing it at home. So I understand what he's saying, but, and there's a reason, I agreed to those terms erroneously in 2017, but there's a reason to expand for a reason. You know, I really need to be able to have more than this. I would not feel comfortable coming forward and asking for this if I had a bunch of complaints, but I don't. I'm not negatively impacting my area, and there are no litter restrictions in this ordinance.
You said there's a reason for you to expand. What specifically is the reason?
10 is not enough dogs.
Why?
I need to be able to have more. You know, I'm a breeder.
But what, you said there's a reason, so
That is,
that
I
doesn't give
mean,
me a reason.
there's
I
an
just said you want more
option,
dogs.
there's an option to expand for a reason. Business needs change. I never should have agreed to any of those terms in 2017. 10 was not gonna work for me then. I never should have agreed to it. Why does Godfrey Child Kennels have 24 dogs on 1 acre? I mean,
I think
you
we're
know.
talking about yours tonight, I understand
But
that.
I hear you, but my reason is similar to his. Breeders tend to have more dogs, and sometimes I'm trying to help the community by not impacting the shelter population. I'll take them back and rehome them. That happens. That just can happen out of the blue. So, I mean, I'm not trying to be a dog hoarder. I'm trying to be a responsible dog owner. I'm not trying to impact my neighbors. I'm being completely honest this time. I made some mistakes in 2017 and in 2019. But I have lost a lot. I'm not blaming the county, but I am asking to expand my permit to something that can work for my business. That's what I'm asking.
Does anybody else have any about that or any comment, and then we're gonna wrap it up?
I just wanted to say just a couple things, and I understand and I appreciate what Stanley does, and I know that her dogs are well taken care of, licensed, et cetera. Ms. Diamond, when she bought this property, was literally $5, okay? And yes, we don't have an ordinance on litter restrictions, but when you have 5 dogs or you have 3 dogs, you don't really have to worry about those litter restrictions. It restricts itself. When you have 25 dogs, it can get to be a problem. Our issue is not with her license, how well she cares for dogs. Our issue is about growing beyond the intended use of the zoning area that was allowed for special use to be rural land zoning district. County was not responsible for financial impact, and I hate that she had that. But that was not the problem with the county. We gave her what she asked for in 2017. She still didn't comply. And, as far as the tax maps go, that area is zoned primarily RD, which is 2 acres. LDR is 5 acres. Y'all did change her zoning along with the request to have a hobby breeder because it was not allowed in RD. So as I said earlier, the people in the neighborhood, unless they come in and get a change, and they can't have it unless they have over 5 acres, they couldn't have an animal care facility anytime. And we never really said 10 to 12 animals. We said 7. The number I used was 7 in terms of litter. I think a lot of the things that she's brought up tonight, the issues were outside Meriwether County. And Meriwether County and Atlanta, some of these others are very different. Also, the location is very different. And, some areas where $25 would not be problem. Some areas where $25, the limited puppies would.
Planning Commission recommended 20. I mean, I could go with 20 also, but they recommended that based on what I showed them. And I could live with that also, but.
All right, do any other commissioners have anything?
So I just, on this right here, this is the recommendation from the planning.
That was the planning, I mean, well, that was, I don't know if that's the one from the planning board or if that's from the office.
We recommended the diet, But if you guys did look at it, we still recommend that you live with no more than 10 dogs and
They
no
still
more
have
than
their-
3 litters of puppies per year and limit the age to 6 months. The planning commission voted to allow 20 adult dogs and 4 litters of puppies a year, but that does not change our recommendation.
So that's what I wanted to know. The 20 dogs and the 4 litters is based on what the planning commission did on March the 28th.
That's right.
Okay, so that is their recommendation.
And then you got the planning, then you've got the office, our community development office, what they recommended.
And they recommended to stay where it's currently at.
That, or if we change anything, no more than 10 adult dogs, no more than 3 litters of puppies per year, and puppies remain on site to 6 months.
The restriction on the dogs is restricted on it.
Does that clarify where the two
Yes.
things come from?
It's getting a little easier. Okay, it's a lot of information, but yeah, okay, I understand.
Okay, I think none of the commissioners have any other comments.
I have one
Well,
question.
okay.
Where, do you live here in Everett?
Yes, I do. Yes, I do.
Have you claimed homestead exemption?
Yes, I do. I live here full time.
Any other questions from the commissioners? Now, yes. Okay, and we have a motion to go out of public hearing.
So,
We have a second. Second. All in favor? All right, we're back in regular session. What is the pleasure of the board here and the information that we have been given?
hearing what we have been given, I will put a motion on the floor to maintain the same status of 10 dogs that were given to the special use in 2017, 2 litters per year, and an adult to be considered 6 months or older. That's in the form of a motion.
All right, do we have a second? All in favor? Or any discussion?
Madam Chair, I'd still a little confused in the sense that the planning commission gave something totally different and, okay. So we're in discussion now, right?
Yeah, if you have, about the,
About the motion.
About the
Okay.
motion.
Okay, in that case, then I'll just leave it,
Okay.
I'll leave my discussion alone on that.
All right, do we have a motion and a second? Any other discussion? All in favor? Opposed? It carries. All right, thank you. All right, well, now we're gonna have a motion to go into a public hearing again for case number 2002. 2022-002. Have a motion?
So moved.
Have a second? All in favor? All right. Mr. Gay, you got this on the.
Yes, ma'am. This is rezoned case number 2022-002. Harvey Towers LLC on behalf of Cherry E. Towers and Lady S. Towers has requested a rezoning from A1 to A1 special use for telecommunication tower as part of their plan to improve wireless voice and status services in this area of Fairfield County. Such a property is located at 4578 Inlet Road in Woodbury. It is part of the 96.56-acre tract property located on tax map 173-013. Proposed special use area is 10,000 square feet with easements for driveway access and guy wire placement. Harvey Towers proposes to construct, I think it's 305-foot tower with 3 guy wire supports and providing construction plans and details, which have been included with the summary for your review. While there is an existing tower in really close proximity across Inlet Road, the applicant has provided studies and analysis that indicates that this tower is of insufficient height and capacity to accommodate the additional telecommunication equipment. Based on the review of property and information provided, the standards of exercise of zoning power as noted in the Marion County codes, and we also find that the applicant will substantially comply with the Marion County zoning ordinance appendix A, article 9, communication tower regulations. And therefore, the county community development department recommends approval with the following conditions. The height of the tower shall not exceed the proposed 305 feet. And I have noted excluding antennas, but I would also like to say excluding antennas or apparatuses that may be attached to tower light and things of that nature. The applicant shall comply with all provisions of the Marion County communication tower regulations as referred in the zoning ordinance of Appendix A, Article 11. Tower compound area and the guy wire acres shall be fenced in accordance with submitted plans and construction details. The Marion County shall have the right to co-locate county communication equipment on the subject tower at no cost, provided the placement of county equipment does not interfere with the tower's equipment or operations. And Marion County Planning Commission held a public hearing on this request on March 28th. We didn't have anyone sign up in opposition, but there was one person in the audience who wrapped it up and said, well, we only one tower in the area. And I may be wrong, but I think that was the guy that had the problem with the other tower. So after the hearing, the Marion County Planning Commission voted unanimously to follow the recommendations of the Community Health Department with the request approval with conditions. And Property Towers does have a representative here tonight. Answer any questions you guys may have. A lot of things contained in the tower ordinance relates to removal of the tower after period of time, continued use, regulations on it. It has to be lit if it's more than 50 feet. And the attorney's here tonight, and he could address and answer any questions you guys have. I'd be happy to answer your questions.
Anybody on board have any questions? Is there anyone in the audience here to speak?
I have a comment I will make, Madam Chair. I know there has been some opposition for the tower. And I think the thing we need to look at is, this is exactly what you do when there is opposition. The way the laws are written, it's just so hard to come up with an objection. And with that being said, that was all I had to say, and I may ask some more questions. Thank you.
Good evening. Good to see you guys again. My name is Andy Rotenstrike. I'm here on behalf of Harmony Towers and AT&T, whom Harmony Towers is looking to build this tower to support their equipment to get AT&T service into the general area. As Mr. Gay said, Sherry and Elaine Powers own this property. It's a 95-acre tract. We are taking up 10,000 square feet, which is 100 foot by 100 foot, and then you have the guide wires coming out to support it for a 305-foot tower. Let me say this, we meet all the provisions of your ordinance. You guys have an extensive ordinance, and that's the first thing we look at when we are looking to build a new tower. Before that, though, when AT&T needs additional coverage and they're looking to fill a gap in coverage here to get coverage along 85 and between Gay and Woodbury, the first thing they do is look to co-locate on existing towers. That is what AT&T prefers, much quicker, much cheaper. As Mr. Gay said, there is the tower almost in essence across the street. It's several hundred feet away. But the problem is that tower is only 199 feet tall. In order to get the coverage that AT&T needs, it needed to be at this 300-foot level. That's why they couldn't use it. That would create more towers in the area to get more service, but that would take years and years to get. So because the lower tower height didn't accommodate AT&T's needs to meet their engineering requirements, our only other option was to build a new structure, and that's why we're here tonight. So we look at your ordinance, we look at the requirements, so we find a willing landowner who's willing to lease Harmony space to build a tower, which is what we did here. Like I said, we followed all of the provisions of your ordinance with regard to setbacks and so forth. You have 8 requirements in your ordinance for special use criteria. We meet all 8 of those, just like the tower that's there now across the street met your ordinance. And we just want to be treated the same way. The tower we're proposing will be built as your ordinance requires to accommodate up to 4 carriers. So when additional carriers come here, this tower we're proposing will have the needed height because those carriers mount beneath each other, right? So the top tenant may get a little better coverage, the next tenant down. That's the need for the 300 feet. So this will accommodate an additional 3 tenants, so when AT&T's competitors need to go on there, Harmony Towers will allow them on, that's the business they're in. So we're trying to build one tower to accommodate everybody. We wanted to be on that first tower that's here now, it just did not meet AT&T's objectives and their requirements. We much rather would have done that, but because that didn't happen here and we couldn't meet that requirement, our only option was to build this tower. With that, I'll stop. You guys have the information in your packet that shows the coverage issue by going on the small tower, and the coverage issue is resolved by going on this larger tower that we're proposing. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to try.
Are there any questions? All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Hearing none, can we have a motion to go out of public hearing? Oh, I thought I did that a while ago. Anyone opposing this request?
As I said, Madam Chair, I'd heard some opposition, but looking at what we have here and listening to the way it's defined and knowing what our ordinance says, it's almost impossible for us to say no.
We have a motion to go out of public hearing.
So moved.
Have a second? Second. All in favor? All right, we're back in session. What is?
Before y'all vote, put anything on the table, I just want to remind y'all, and this goes to what Commissioner McCoy was speaking, there is a heightened standard for cell towers under the Telecommunications Act, which is a federal law. And that requires that if you're going to deny a request, it will have to be in writing with what they call substantial evidence backing up the denial. Additionally, you can't cite to health concerns, you can't cite to aesthetics alone, and you can't cite to environmental or radio frequencies as part of the reason that you would. And then touching on something I think the representative also spoke to, you're also not allowed to unreasonably discriminate between tower providers. So I just want to make sure that the board recalls that, remembers that before they put anything on the table to vote here today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Michael. Maybe that gets me off the hook a bit.
All right, what is the pleasure of the board?
Well, it's my district, so I'm gonna go ahead and say we approve.
We have a second.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, can we have one more public hearing? Can we have a motion to go into public hearing for case number 2022003?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? We're back in public hearing.
No.
Back again. I'll try to be very quick. Mr. Stephen Reynolds is here with us tonight, and he is here on behalf of Joan Bowden Henry, who's requested a rezoning of 1 acre of a 2.548 acre tract from RD to neighborhood commercial, conditioned to allow for retail firearms and firearms repair shop in the existing commercial building. The property is located, I think it says 2800, it's actually 28,000 block of Roosevelt Highway in Luthersville, and it's further identified as part of tax map 68020. And there's a plat there, it's parcel 2 as referenced in the plat. This entire tract was zoned RD, rural development. The subject property includes a house built in the 1870s per the county records, and a 972 square foot commercial building built in 1969. The request is to rezone the 1 acre with a commercial building, and the commercial building has been used for various business through the years, and most recently it was used as a church. Some of the past uses include a grocery store, feed store, flea markets, we put this out. There were no comments back from any of our county departments. We reviewed all of the standards for the zoning. I'll be happy to cover those, but I provided those in writing to you. And after review of consideration of the facts of the matter, the Community Development Department recommends approval with the following conditions. The use of the building should be limited to firearm sales and repairs. There shall be no firing range on site. The existing building should not be expanded without approval from Meriwether County, and signage of the business shall conform to the provisions of the Meriwether County sign ordinance. And we presented this to the Planning Commission on March 28th, And no one spoke in opposition. The planning commission voted unanimously and recommended approval as presented by the Community Development Department. And Mr. Reynolds is here tonight, and if you guys have any questions of him, okay?
Are there any questions from the board? Any comments you'd like to make, Mr. Reynolds?
That pretty much covers it.
Okay. Is anyone in the audience that would like to speak against? Yes. No comment?
As a citizen, I live in this area, and I very much support what they're trying to do. It's big commercial, and they're a good part of the community. So as a citizen and resident of the area, I would support it.
Okay. Any comments from the commissioners? Any questions?
I'm very familiar with this property and the folks that have lived there for so many years, so.
All right, thank you, Mr. Reynolds. All right, here, and I'm gonna have a motion to go out of public hearing.
So moved.
Have a second?
Second.
All in favor? All right, we're back in regular session. What is the pleasure of the board?
It's my district again, Madam Chair, and I vote we approve. I have, as I said, I've got extensive knowledge of that area. And I think the key here is there's no reason to go out and fire a firearm. They will be repairing firearms, they will be selling firearms, but there is no firing range associated with that.
All right, we have a
My
second.
motions.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? All right, thank you, it's approved. All right, now we move on to the rest of the agenda, appointments. All right, do we need to make that, go back to that motion with this
I
conditions?
thought the motion that was on the table was approve the board's recommendation, or the planning commission's
conditions as stated.
recommendation. Yeah,
Okay.
but if that would, you need to clarify that
Okay,
that
let's go back.
recommendation included those conditions, yes.
All right,
Motion include
make,
with
to
the,
include those conditions they had listed.
Yes, very much so.
Okay, we have a second.
second.
All in favor? All right, thank you. All right, move on to appointments. This is my district. I hope this is the last time that I have to table this, but I'm making that in the form of a motion to table.
Second.
All in favor? Okay, thank you. All right, unfinished business. Number one, discuss leasing, purchasing 2 existing motor graders. I believe this was left over from our last,
There's 2 appointments. One is for Sonia Flynn and one is for Robin Wilkinson.
we're under appointments up there under 9.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Trying to get us through.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
Take care of unfinished.
Sorry. That's okay, that's okay. It's been a long night. All right. This is something that was left over from our last meeting, I believe. We were gonna have a little further discussion. Mr. Bill, whoever is gonna.
Madam Chairman, Board of Commissioners. I'm assuming y'all got a spreadsheet and a handout.
Oh, listen, with these 1,000 sheets here, we probably do. Yeah. It's right
Just
here.
kind of, I put some information together on the 2 motor graders that was under discussion, and, which are 2016 model Caterpillar motor graders, 12 M3s. And I think Commissioner Hines had questions on hours. So the hours, current hours on these machines are, one of them's 996 hours, or it's 2,128 hours. I'm giving you the original purchase price, the monthly lease payments, and, basically what will be paid in the 60 months, which is $268,810. And then there was a fixed purchase price of $148,785 a piece. And then if you decided to purchase these machines, the county will have purchased would have paid $560,380.20 for those machines. They do not have, they will go off of the guaranteed maintenance, not maintenance, but warranty. Will go off at the end of the month. And you can buy additional powertrain warranties if you so choose, and there is a preventive maintenance agreement you can enter in as well, but I don't know if there's any other questions.
And we use these seasonally is what we discussed today, right? They're just
used during this time of year. They're pretty
Yes,
much
sir.
not used during the winter.
And they're very, very not user-friendly when it's raining in the wintertime.
And we have an older one that we're using, plus the 2021 that we bought, and then we have these two on lease.
That's right.
And our discussion, I believe, was whether we were gonna continue, whether we were gonna purchase these or we were gonna continue on a lease with CAT, correct?
Caterpillar, yeah.
That's right.
The recommendation looks like to me, purchasing.
Well,
I will
wanted-
say that because of the low hours, these machines, the price that they're offering to be purchased, they're probably worth a lot more than that because of the low hours on those machines.
One of them really has low hours.
What I was thinking, if I may, is we have one 2021 that we purchased. We have an older one that is still in use. The leases are about to be up on these two. We are very short-staffed in Public Works at this point by 12 employees, so I'm not sure if we would even have the staff to operate all of these. So what I was thinking today is if we just purchased a 2021, if we purchase one of the leased ones at this point and let the other one go back, then if we decide later or by next year, if these are working well and we decide we need another one, at that point, go back into a lease on a new one. And then maybe when that lease is up, purchase that one and then lease another one as needed. And that way we always have one new one coming in under lease, but we own the newest of those leased ones instead of going in and leasing all these and possibility of no staff to operate them.
And I think that was part of our original thought, was that we would always have a new one, if we continued with the lease. Maybe it was two, but at least we'd have one with what you're suggesting there.
Do you think that would work if we just purchased one of these, let the other go back? We have two newer ones, the older one, and see how that works out for the season. And if we need something, come back before us to see about leasing the new one. And then-
Definitely with the staff that we have now, we're only be able to operate 3 right now. I mean,
We'll have those if we.
we'd like to have 4, but we don't have the staff right now.
Well, I guess my question too would be to that, how simple is it to go and lease now? Is there a long waiting time like there is with purchase, or how do you do that?
If we want to enter into some more, they're another year out? If you wanted
If
to
we
do-
decided next year would be 2 years before we could have a tractor.
Yeah, that's right. So if you decide this year, it could be a year before you could get one. But with the hours on these 2 machines that we're talking about, I mean, they're very, very low hour machines, so they're very viable, very good machines, very good shape.
And I'll express my other concern on what I stated about one. It has been brought to us multiple times this year to purchase equipment for many, many, many departments. And we've taken that out of SPLOST, T-SPLOST, ARPA, and I think really and truly, we don't have a grasp, I don't, every day as to what the balances truly are and how much we have left to spend in these accounts. So I'm worried that we may overextend ourselves under these by continuing to purchase or lease everything that comes before us.
If we were to purchase just one of these, would we be able to choose and obviously choose the one with the least amount of hours? Or is that, I mean,
Yes.
I didn't know if there was anything in there. I mean, naturally, that, it's not, they'd want to keep the one they could get the most money for, I understand that. Caterpillar would, but I mean.
I think we get to choose based on the lease agreement. It's our choice.
That 996 hours is extremely low. Both of them are low, but that one is like way.
Really low. Yeah. I did some cost comparison on other motor graders for 2015, 2016 that are for sale, kind of online. And most of those machines have 5,000 to 6,000 hours on them. And they're asking more than what the payout on these machines are. They're I think 148,000, 158,000, and they've got 5,000 hours, 6,000 hours on them. So these machines are well worth what we have to pay for them. Also, you don't have if we say if you purchase one of these and let one go back, you may want to consider just buying an additional maintenance for the powertrain and hydraulic warranty. I don't think you'll have any issues with those machines, but if the hydraulic system goes,
it's very expensive.
And that was my thinking again too. If we buy these 2016s, the warranty's going out on them. So here we are purchased with hundreds of thousands of dollars that we're still responsible for maintaining. So if we buy one and it's at least one, we can see how it does and then go into a lease agreement again next year, have one that's under warranty, and we have that new one continuing that we don't have to worry about because it is under warranty.
What
Sounds like-
would, I'm sorry.
Sounds like, purchasing an additional warranty is possible though,
It is.
or an extended.
And I think the very question you moved on was, I have this, what does it cost to buy an extended warranty on this piece of equipment?
I got quotes on those, and if you do the powertrain and hydraulic parts and labor, which means they'll cover everything. They won't cover your wear items like your tires
Right.
and your blades and things like that, or windshield, broken windshield, things like that. But it's for the lowest hour machine that has 997, it's $10,322 for 60 months.
For how many
Or
months?
five.
60 months?
60 months or 5,000 hours.
Yeah, 166 a month or
That
something.
sounds like a deal.
I would recommend that.
Good gracious. Sound like a no-brainer
I
there.
think it's 166 a month.
Any other questions or comments from?
I do have one question, Madam Chair. So this equipment is seasonal, so when you say seasonal, what time frame? Just 3, 4, 5 months out of the year? Seasonal? How much time do we use this?
What is the season for the
Season that we
motor
use?
graders?
From when to when do we use them?
Spring.
Basically, starting in, it depends on the weather a lot. Last year was such a rainy year, but April, first April, until about November, mid-November.
It's still a pretty good bit.
They may use them a little bit during the winter, but they're far a lot.
Madam Chair,
Mhm.
based on the,
There's other things that could be done during the wintertime, like clipping high shoulders on paved roads and things like that, so.
good. Okay. I just want to make sure that I heard Commissioner Threadgill comment. Is that to purchase one and then lease the other one? What's the time frame on the lease? How many years is that?
I was saying to purchase one of these now and let
Right.
the other one go back.
Let the other one go back.
Because
We've
we have a
already purchased one.
we have a 2021 that we purchased. So now we'll have this 2016 with low miles, and we have an old one that's still in use, so we'll have three.
So we have 3.
Right, so I say purchase this one now, see how we do through the season with this. If we need to purchase, or if we need another one, then go into a lease agreement next year that will give us that 5-6 year time frame that is covered under that warranty. And then at the end of that lease, if we need it, we purchase it, go back into another lease. So we are working it out to where we have one covered at all times under warranty.
And then if we
I guess
also
what I'm
ended
trying
up
to
with
get is that
employees
lease
too.
that we had before was for what time span? 4 years or 5 years?
6
Is it
years.
5 years?
5 year lease. And I've got high hopes that we could get enough employees to where you could definitely use 4 or 6 when it comes to maintaining the roads, but we don't have
And
the
I hope
staff.
you do, so you can come back and say, I told you so.
Yeah.
What is the, pleasure of the board?
Go ahead, Bruce.
I make a motion that we purchase one of the 2016 models with the lowest amount of hours on it, as well as the additional warranty for the 60 months of $10,300 additional dollars. And that's the form of the motion.
Do we have a second?
You have a second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
No, we had to
where
say
we
how
go.
we're paying for it.
Huh? I thought we'd already,
T-Splosh.
I was gonna say we'd already said, I thought we'd said T-Splosh when we talked about it
I
last.
saw his hand up. so-
Okay, all right, is that what you?
That's why he had his
Oh,
hands
okay, I
up.
didn't
so-
see your hand, but,
So the motion is to take the money from T-Splosh.
Right.
all in favor? Thank you. All right, now we're gonna move down to, now we're gonna go to new business. All right, we've already done 1 and 2. Number 3, this is appointment to the Public Facilities Authority to expire December 31st, 2023.
Is that Robin? Or was the other one
I
Robin?
think.
This one is Sonia Flynn.
Yeah, and I think
Okay.
she has talked to,
Sonia had requested last year not to be reappointed to this board, and when I brought it up, this board meets very seldom. I've been on it since 17, and we've met one time. So, with that being said, and speaking with Bill Sharon, I asked if he would like to be appointed to a board that very seldom meets, and he agreed. He's also on planning commission, so
So is that in form of a motion?
that is in form of a motion.
I'll second.
All right, all in favor? Okay. Our next one is appointment to the Public Facilities Authority to expire December 31st, 2024.
And I did speak to Robin Wilkerson, who is in that seat, and she is willing to serve again, so I'll make that in the form of a motion.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Next, summer hour event request for temporary road closure. Somebody?
Madam Chair and Board, Hugh Summerhour, who owns several businesses in the town of Kay, has planned a pasture dash event for June 12th at 9:30, ending at 5. It's a triathlon type of event and involves running, biking, and swimming. In order to ensure the safety of the participants, he has asked some county roads be temporarily closed or limited to one lane of traffic during the event. There is a map of the proposed route, the requested roads to be closed, and a letter from Mayor Nash about the event. The event organizers may have reached out to public safety. Staff's recommendation would be to approve the request contingent on an agreed upon traffic and safety plan with the Sheriff's Office, Fire Rescue, EMS, and 911.
Anybody have any questions?
What date was this? I'm sorry, Michelle.
June 12th,
12.
starting at 9:30 till 5.
I was just seeing if it was out of the way of everything else. It seems to be.
Peaches and Pine will be going on then too. Okay, do we have a motion?
Make a motion.
Have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Who made the motion?
I did.
Ryan actually made it.
All right, our next item is the service delivery strategy resolution wastewater.
Thank you, Madam Chair and Board. This is for the service delivery strategy resolution for wastewater. We were asked to open this by City of Luthersville. They have been awarded a CDBG grant and need to update their maps. We've reached out to the City of Greenville and the City of Manchester, letting them know because it will need to be signed by all parties for wastewater. We've also reached out to some other cities, but it's been a little more difficult to get in touch with folks. So we're working on that, but staff is recommending approval of this resolution to open up SDS for wastewater.
Okay, we have a motion regarding the recommendation. Make a motion to approve. Have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Thank you.
All right, next, empower, change plan administrator and plan election.
Thank you. Beverly has served as the plan administrator for the retirement plan. I think it kind of started as there was a lot of transitions in the administrator position. She's recommending, now that we have a full-time human resources director in place, that I would be named as the plan administrator. Mass Mutual did sell their accounts to Empower, and they have finally completed that transition. Empower has asked the county if we would be interested in allowing our employees to elect to have Empower manage their retirement accounts. There would be a charge to the employee of 0.65 basis points for this service. Currently, it's 0.5 basis points, but again, there's been transition within the sale of Mass Mutual to Empower. So I think there's two things here, correct, Michael? Plan administrator and allow for the Empower. So I apologize that it was written wrong on the agenda.
The recommendation is you be the.
Plan administrator.
Oh, I got something in the mail from this week. It was in pocket. I didn't know what it was to begin with. Okay, all right. Okay, we have any questions? All right, so we have, we're gonna need to make two motions. One to,
Ma'am, one.
okay, all right, first, can we have a motion to change the plan administrator to Michelle Irizarry?
So moved.
Have a second?
Second.
All in favor? All right, and what will our next one be?
That we will let Empower Retirement serve the employees of Meriwether County at 0.65 basis
Okay,
points.
hearing this recommendation, do we have a motion?
So moved.
You have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Lord, all the motions and seconds coming from down here.
We're reading down here. All right,
We don't need y'all, go home.
all right, we have a report from our county administrator.
Thank you. I did receive an email from Miss Jane Fryer, and she said the cleanup day has come and gone. It was a huge event. Excited to thank everyone that participated. Results aren't in yet, but she will pass them along as they come in. There will be a meeting on Tuesday, May 10th at 10 to discuss the event and present awards here at Admin Building. But she wanted to thank everybody once again. I think there was a couple of things with tires, but you know, there's always something that doesn't go as planned, no matter how much information you try to get out there. Animal Control had the event here from Harris County Humane Society regarding the vaccinations and the microchips. There were 215 citizens signed up, all but 40 showed up, so it was very popular. That's the only location that they did it in. They said it was centralized, and since they had such a large amount sign up for that location, it was in front of the DFAX building, so that was very good and went well. Trying to see what else I got. I don't believe I have anything else to share this evening. Thank you.
All right, we're gonna report from our county commissioners. Commissioner Hines?
Thank you. Just a couple of things. In reference to the cleanup, I understand it was quite successful, but Mayor Cuddy brought something to my attention. He wanted to make sure that I bring it to the board. I'm not sure how many dumpsters Luthersville had, maybe 3 or 4, but definitely full to the brim. But one of the dumpsters, he said, it seemed like someone from a construction site came and dumped their things. So we know it's for the citizens, but for a business to come, he was concerned and just want us to be aware of it, and how can we possibly address this for the one that's coming in October. It just seemed like certain people and certain businesses are taking advantage of that. Also, yesterday I had a town hall meeting in Alvelton, went quite well, but they also want to express during the cleanup, that it just seems like a lot of people from assumingly outside of Meriwether took advantage of that and dropped a lot of tires. And once again, we do have tires there. And I think the citizens want to have a clear understanding of how we dispose those tires. I told them that we had got grants previously to get rid of it, but it's very costly. But they were concerned, once again, of people coming and taking their commercial stuff, dumping it into our dumpsters, which does not allow the citizens to use it. So that was 2 major concerns. But other than that, I understand the cleanup was a very good success regarding that. The only other thing Mayor Cuddy wanted me to also bring to the attention, the Meriwether County Community Blood Drive, which is going to be in Luthersville at the City Hall complex. That's going to be Thursday, May the 26th. It's from 2 p.m. until 7 p.m. So once again, this is a great opportunity for those to participate in giving blood. So hopefully we can get this information on our website as well and promote this and through the Red Cross. So I'll make sure that you all have a flyer on that. And the only other thing I had, Michelle, you had mentioned about getting with USDA. So I just wanted to get a follow-up, or did you have a chance to talk to them yet?
I did speak to Miss Tamika. She sent over some information, and we should have a follow-up soon.
Okay. So, and the other thing is, I still would like the board to look at how we can get more information regarding the infrastructure bill. All these projects that we've definitely got to find some alternative ways to help pay for some of it. The last thing I want to comment on, the gentleman who spoke earlier in public comment regarding Forest Road, I do comply with him. There's definitely sections of Forest Road that we may need to go look at. They've patched it, but it's really, really bad. Unfortunately, we're having a lot of semi trucks coming through our area and they're tearing up our roads. And it was brought to my attention at the Appleton meeting last night. They're doing the same thing coming down Appleton Road, instead of staying on Highway 85, going down 362, they're cutting through. And there's a really blind spot there, so I'm not sure how we need to address it. There's signage up, but it's not deterring people from coming down the road. So when we talk about the weight, so they're, instead of staying on 85, doing 362, they're coming down Appleton, then getting on Luthersville Road. And so the traffic's there. Maybe we can get a study or see the volume that we have coming down the road. But once again, it's something we need to look at and address. So thank you. That's all I have.
Commissioner Plant?
I'll piggyback on a couple of things. Keep Meriwether Beautiful was very successful, and according to Ms. Jane, she wanted me to really express appreciation and thanks to Public Works that they went above and beyond, and the number of employees that willingly worked to help with the event was very well appreciated. And she also mentioned that fellow Commissioner Hadley and her team was quite successful, and even the little two-year-old. And
picked up trash.
the encouraging thing is to have the high school teams that we had from both high schools, and the number of students that participated was very encouraging. But also very discouraging is that people not following the rules, and with that, with the number of tires and not taken to the proper location. I'm not sure how we'll address it, but it does need to be addressed. And my initial thought was prosecute to the fullest extent of the law, because somebody got paid somewhere for that number of tires. As far as Forest Road, that as far as I know, that is on the LMIG list. Unfortunately, there's a section of forest that's going to need full depth reclamation. And it's probably going to be in an area that you're going to have, paved, unpaved, and then full depth reclamation, and then another unpaved section or whatever. But it is rough, it is bad, and Mr. Bill and I had discussed that, because I experienced the same thing, hitting a rough patch, and
That's a long road.
it is a very long road. And it would be nice to have it paved from one end to the other, but that's not feasible, the length of the road. Anyhow, but that's it, and I just so appreciate the volunteers for keeping Meriwether beautiful, and thank you for your efforts.
I have to thank you, Commissioner Plant. I just want to mention a couple of things about the Keep Meriwether Beautiful. And, we do have a few months before we do it again. And I don't know if anybody's been down to Warm Springs, but the site looks horrible. They haven't even been able to get to it yet. But we had 3 dumpsters there. One of the haulers replaced their dumpster during the day. There's probably enough there to fill up 3 more dumpsters sitting on the ground. And what's gonna happen is that we're gonna lose this privilege of doing it if we can't find a way to control it. Because number one, our public works have got to spend all week trying to clean this mess up. And maybe as a county, if we could come up with, I don't know what the answer is, but in Manchester, they moved their dump sites from the mill to their old animal shelter site. It's gated, it's locked up. They didn't open the gates to 8 a.m. and they closed them at 4 p.m. Now, they've got stuff on the ground because there's simply not enough dumpsters there. But everybody really cleaned out. We didn't have this much stuff thrown out in October. So I just wonder if there's a way we could try to find some fenced-in areas. And then you need people to work, and we don't have many volunteers to man the dumpsters. There were people there from Public Works. But look, the guy that was in Warm Springs, it was all he could do trying to help people put things in the dumpsters. People lifting sofa beds from the backs of trucks into the containers. I mean, he was working all day really hard. And then I went by at night and there's just people out there. There's people there this morning going through it, taking some, leaving some, because it's still there and they just can't get to it. So I don't know what the answer is going to be, but maybe between now, if we could just, or if we even got 2 or 3 areas that we could put in a fenced in area where it could be locked up. Of course, people liable to dump at the gate. I mean, who knows? But it's just a shame because the people who are really want to use it and they're doing the right thing are going to suffer when we have to shut this thing down. Because, I mean, it's no telling what we'll be paying public works people just to clean it up, and then they're not able to do their regular job. Along the truck issue, we're still having trouble on Juke Line with the trucks coming through. It got a little bit better when that compliance company, whatever it is with GDOT, you know, they come and they stop them or whatever. It got a little bit better, but it is terrible on Juke Line. And I don't know if it's time for us to try to have another meeting with them and we talk about Forest Road, we talk about Alvelton Road, because they're the ones that seem to be able to get the most done. Now, I know the sheriff's office in conjunction with the city of Warm Springs did stop and write some tickets of people coming off of Juke Line there for a while. And I think it helped, but then the minute they back off or they're not around, it's back up. And I don't know how much longer we're gonna have to use Juke Line for. Detour seems like till the end of time at this point. So, you know, I don't know if we can reach out to the compliance folks, GDOT, whomever, because, I mean, they know when they get to that roundabout, they're supposed to go to Pine Mountain, and they don't. And Carolyn asked that I mention tonight about the Roosevelt Memorial Airport after hours. That's on Thursday, May the 12th, 5:30 to 7. If I remember right, it's the 90th anniversary, isn't it, of the airport? And so put that on your calendar from 5:30 to 7 on Thursday, May the 12th. And we'll celebrate the airport. You know, it's such an asset to us that I think a lot of people are not quite and that's all I have.
Well, I think if the sheriff would deputize all of us and give us guns twice a year for the cleanup, it might help.
So.
Only if we're allowed to use them.
That's right.
So.
I don't have anything to add tonight. We've talked enough.
Okay, Commissioner McCoy?
I have just a couple of things I'm going to touch on. The last week seemed like ball game to me. Miss Rosalind and I were down at the Woodbury Field last Tuesday, and we got to watch the little fellows go out and play, and it was quite interesting to watch. We even had the Luthersville team showed up. Their field was wet and wouldn't dry out, so they came down and was playing there. And again, on this Saturday, out at the Lake Meriwether, we were utilizing that ball field, which I'm kind of glad we didn't let somebody else use it because we're needing it now. And one other thing I was going to make mention of is out at Lake Meriwether. We're looking and in the talking phases of building a stage out there for use, especially with the event that's coming up with Peaches in the Pines, and of course other folks could use it also. And we do have a surplus of pressure-treated wood that I can use. So that's pretty much all I had.
All right, thank you. All right, now we'll move on to our county attorney.
I have no report other than I do understand we have the need for executive session for litigation, personnel, and real estate.
Okay. All right, we'll go ahead and mention our future meetings. I have that on my paper. Okay, May the 11th will be our regular meeting at 9 a.m. May 24th, work session 4 p.m. May 24th, regular meeting at 6 p.m. And May 30th will be the Memorial Day holiday. All right, can we have a motion to go into executive session for litigation, personnel, and real estate?
So moved.
Have a second?
Second.
All in favor? All right, we're in executive session at 8:09. Thank you. Plant seconded to go out of executive session at 9:01. All right, can we have a motion to go back into regular session? Have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Okay, there was no action taken. Is there any other business to come before the board?
Madam Chair, I meant to bring this up earlier. We have a work session, I do believe May the 24th or 22nd or something like that. We're going to talk about the waste management. Okay. But I also would like to put on that work session that we talk about the fire stations and fire district.
Michelle, can you make sure? Yep.
She needs that for the record.
All right. Anything else to come before us? Here none, we have a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Have a second?
Second.
All in favor? We are adjourned at 9:03.